Hi, I'm Cameron Humphreys with Humphreys Outdoor Power, and I am excited because today we received our first RTV-XC. C is in cab from Kubota. That's going to be replacing this RTV-X1100 that has been a tried and true staple for Kubota for a very long time now. This is easily one of our best-selling RTVs. Full cab, factory, heat, air conditioning. This guy has very similar features. But today we are going to take a look at the brand new RTV-XC, do a walk around, and then we'll compare both to see which one you might need. Let's dive in. These two machines share more commonalities than they have differences. The new RTV-XC is basically a clone of the RTV-X1100, which, to be honest, is perfectly fine because the X1100 is one of the most tried and true products Kubota has ever made. We'll splash the specs up on the screen here, but as you'll notice, we've got basically the same engine, basically the same transmission. Everything spec-wise is going to come out almost exactly the same. But like I said earlier, we love that because everything about this X1100 has been tried and true for a very, very long time. We've sold hundreds of these things. I personally have sold hundreds of these things and not had issues. Everybody loves them. The only time people get rid of them is whenever they're trying to swap out hours for like a corporation or something and they just want something new and in warranty. These things get passed down from generation to generation. I don't see a lot of them being traded in because they last for a very, very long time, especially if they're taken care of. So it makes sense that we didn't try to reinvent the wheel, and I actually give kudos to Kubota for that. There's absolutely no reason to reinvent the wheel with this guy. They've taken some of the new features that we've seen with the RTV-X and applied them to the RTV-X1100, which gives us now the RTV-XC, C for cab. So let's dive into some of those features that they have changed and see what we like about them. One of the first differences we're going to notice right from the beginning are the difference in the tires. So on this one, this is the RTV-X1100 that has been out for some time. These are the heavy-duty worksite tires. You could get this in either ATV or these heavy-duty worksite. These heavy-duty worksite were better on concrete, obviously worksite conditions. They didn't wear down as quickly as the ATV tires did if you're driving on a lot of hard surfaces, concrete, gravel, things like that. The ATV tires, however, were a lot better if you were just on your own personal property, driving through fields, mud, a little bit better traction than what these guys gave you. But again, if you did put them on the hard surfaces, they would wear down faster. So on the new RTV-XC and the regular RTV-X, Kubota's come out with this new kind of hybrid tire that's supposed to be the best of both worlds. It should be wearing down well on hard surfaces such as concrete, and you can kind of see where it would do that. But it's got a lot more cleating in here, a lot more areas to kind of let the mud escape, so it should have a lot better traction. Haven't tested this out a whole lot. This came out last year with the new RTV-X. I've not heard any negative reviews whatsoever about the tire, and typically that tells me it's a pretty good thing. If there was an issue about it, believe me, I would have heard about it either here on YouTube or at our shop personally. So in general, I think that the new tires are a win. I think that it'll make things a little bit easier in terms of trying to decide which tire you need. Now they've got this hybrid that's the best of both worlds. So if you recall in our video about the new RTV-X that replaced both the 900 and the 1120 and kind of put them back into one model, the RTV-X, one of the main things we talked about was the fact that you could go to a flatbed if you chose to. Well, they have carried that over to the new RTV-XC, so we can convert this to a flatbed if we want to very, very easily. We start here on the tailgate. We have to first remove these holds, the wire holders, and then we pop down the tailgate. And then we come over to each side. We release this, and then we'll release this side as well, and boom, we have a flatbed. One of the things I do like about this model, it seems like all of the premium versions, which are the only version that we're going to bring in as a dealership, and I imagine it's the most common one out there, all come standard with bed liners. So I love that as well. But back to the matter at hand, this flatbed. What you can do with this machine, this has pins right here, which you can pull out, and you can actually take these panels completely off. So if you just want a flatbed vehicle, you can certainly do that, which does kind of, it does give you more utility, right? Instead of being limited in cargo space by your actual bed walls, now we can get rid of those walls. You can haul anything, any length, any width. So there is some utility in that. It's one of the features that I do really like about this model over the old X1100. Moving on to the inside of the cab, most of this is going to look the same as on an X1100, to be honest. But there are a few changes, and I happen to like both of them. So one of them is the parking brake. With this guy, we now have more of like a standard car parking brake as opposed to the old one, which you kind of click in and out. The old one was hard to use, especially if you had smaller hands. I always got complaints from women on that front where like it's just hard to know when you've actually got it locked. Sometimes it's really hard to release it. This is a lot more simple. You just put your thumb down and shove it forward, you're released. Or if you just grab it and yank, you've got it locked in. So there is something to be said about that. I'm a big fan of the new parking brake system. The other thing is going to be internal. So most of this transmission, as I said before, is very similar. However, they have fixed where it's harder to sometimes get the gear you want. So in shifting gears from neutral to reverse, for example, I know sometimes on the old 1100 model, you kind of had to play with it a little bit to get it. Now, once you knew what you were doing, you could tap the gas, kind of clear that hydraulic line and shift it into gear. It worked really well. This one, we don't have as many issues. I will say after having a year of the RTV-X, it's a marginal benefit, I would say. You're still occasionally going to struggle to get it in there. It is better by far. So congrats to Kubota for at least attempting to fix the problem. It did get better. Is it perfect? No, not at all. I actually had a customer in here just yesterday who said, I have an X1100. I wanted to see how much better this one shifted than the current one that I have. He got in it. He didn't think it shifted very much better. Slightly better. So I wouldn't let that be the determining factor if you have an opportunity to buy an 1100 this year versus an RTV-XC. But it is kind of a nice feature that I think they're going to continue to work on, and it'll continue to get better over time. Again, marginal benefit as of right now, I would say. Just to hop in here and take a look in case you are not familiar with the layout of the RTV-X1100. This is the new 1100c, so this is what it will look like whenever you get in it. Again, this is straight from the factory, so it is still relatively clean. There's the new parking brake we were talking about. We do have a tilt wheel on here. If we look down at these levers, this is for our bed, so we can lower and raise that right from the seat. This is going to be for our differential lock, which is what that pedal down there does. And then this one we can actually pull to increase our engine RPMs if we have a heavy load on the back of that bed. I do think it's important to talk about the potential drawbacks real quick. There aren't any that the RTV-XC has that the 1100C does not have, but the biggest drawback to the Kubota diesel RTVs is their speed. So top end speed of 25 miles an hour for both. That can be restrictive in some applications. However, we find that most places where we're selling these to, that speed really isn't an issue. If we're selling it on a job site, it's not like you need to be traveling 40 miles per hour anyway. Most of the people that we sell these to recreationally don't care about going fast. They'll go out and buy something else that's much faster than anything Kubota makes. You need to really realize that this machine is designed to be a tool and a working, functional machine. They are fun to drive, yes, but it's not designed for that top-end speed that you're going to see with a lot of other brands and stuff like that. So that is the one drawback, still 25 mile an hour speed limit. But again, as long as you know that going in, I don't think that's a big deal. Now the question that everyone's going to be asking is price. We've seen that there aren't that many differences between the RTV-XC and the OG RTV-X1100c, so what is the difference in price? I've got that answer for you. The MSRP on this RTV-X1100 as it sits with the bed liner, the worksite model, and the heavy-duty worksite tires is $26,199. The MSRP on this RTV-XC with those all-purpose tires, the premium version, which does have the spray-in bed liner, and then priced out with steel rims, is $27,499. This gives us a difference of $1,300 right now, according to MSRP. Now, I'm sure you are going to be able to get these machines for less than MSRP at your local dealer. I would also look for Kubota to have more deals going around this 1100 as we get further along into the year, as they're trying to replace it with this RTV-XC. In general, my 2 cents, there's not that much of a difference in features that you're going to get, unless that collapsible bed is important to you. I would say that's the #1 feature to look at, to think about that $1,300 difference. If that's important to you, then yeah, you may want to hold out. I know these things aren't going to be super available. We've gotten one in. I don't know how many we're going to get this year. Probably not that many. We do have several of the X1100s left. We kind of stocked up right before the year, knowing that we didn't know how many of these we were going to get. But it really just depends. Is it worth $1,300 for you to get the collapsible bed so you could have a flatbed option? And if it's not, and you want to try to score some savings, especially like I said, as they're phasing this guy out, we may see a few more discounts and programs centered around this model. That may be the way to go for you. So that's going to be up to you. That wraps it up for us as we've been comparing the new RTV-XC and the OG RTV-X1100c. The synopsis, very, very similar models. The new XC is going to be a great addition to the lineup as the X1100c gets phased out and goes to greener pastures. So if you enjoyed this content, make sure to leave a like. If you've got an idea for another video, comment down below. And as always, if you like content like this, make sure to subscribe so you can see some of the other videos that we're doing. Hopefully we'll be diving into this new year, making a lot more content for you guys in general. But in the meantime, as I said, leave a like, subscribe, and have a great day.